Welcome all who enter here. Tonight's tale is by an ancient creature that has long since haunted our fantasies and dreams. A Father's Tale. The story begins when the world was still young. Magic was real in this land full of strange monsters. Great warriors would seek out these creatures for fortune and fame, perfecting their skills in life and death situations. This was life in the Middle Ages. A castle in ruins, abandoned when the monarchs were slain. Nature had reclaimed it. Vines and weeds had permanently closed the gate. In the castle's main chamber was a tunnel no one knew of. This led to a magnificent cavern full of wealth and untold riches. These belonged to a terrifying creature. His vision was perfect at night, and he possessed jaws that could crush any bone. Nasty claws connected to powerful legs, and a magnificent heavy tail. Wings of leather hovered over his back, and his scales were indestructible armor. But the weapons were the worst of all. Fire from his lungs, hot enough to melt armor. Yet he also possessed another more unique weapon: stomach acid, to eject onto his victims. So corrosive, it would disintegrate rock and stone alike. When the younger reptile would leave the courtyard, he laid waste to the land. He also created a cavern for his treasure. He had to have some place to keep the murdered occupants' treasure too. If he did not, why did he kill them? Many warriors did he battle, leaving him scarred but alive. All became dinner, lured by greed and fame. Armor, weapons, and bones littered the entrance to his home. A home to share with 4 guardians, gargoyles of immense size. In the corner, protected by more gargoyles, were 3 leather reptilian eggs. His mate was attacked and slaughtered by warriors, with whom he exacted sweet revenge. Their roasted flesh was delicious, as he consumed all that was left of the people. Here the eggs were safe, as old age finally came knocking to the great dragon. His body would feed the young ones for a few weeks, long enough for them to divide the treasure or, more than likely, consume each other. Dragons are not known to share. It does not matter now. Death will come soon. For centuries, he controlled and kept the people in fear, having destroyed what enemies he had. Now the twilight called to him to enter the great void, or whatever secrets hid behind the veil of this life. The last thing he saw were 3 young dragons, starving, looking for their first meal, tearing through the eggs. He smiled as those large eyes closed, and his life was over. Guardian. Man has always feared death and what happens afterwards. But immortality is full of tricks, and many have tried to find its secrets. You must be brave and dive into the occult, seeking its forbidden knowledge. But always remember, for knowledge sought, there is always a price to pay for it. Are you willing to pay the price for that which you seek? I came from a wealthy family and made even more money with investors and stocks. I never had a 9-to-5 job, and soon I was my own boss. But as I grew older, I decided I did not want to face death just yet. So I searched for an unnatural way to prolong my life. It took many years and seeped into my vast fortune. But I finally found the artifact I was looking for. A ruby full of magic was what I sought. Hidden deep in a godforsaken jungle and protected by an unknown guardian. The guardian was never described, only mentioned and said to be immortal itself. To kill it requires a special concoction, one I found instructions to create. Then I must take the weapon I choose, dipping the tip into the strange liquid, coating the blade so I can slay whatever is guarding my trophy. My travels took me to a remote jungle found in South America. The jungle was thick, having vines and weeds overgrowing the pathway to the temple. Me and my interpreter braved the area and soon located our target. After such a long and dangerous journey, we would rest, lying in front of the temple that we would enter tomorrow. The fire kept danger at bay, but we knew something, or several things, were watching us in the darkness, constantly looking over our shoulders. We did not get a good night's sleep. As the sun rose over the horizon, we decided to venture into the temple. That is, after all, why I'm here. And I'm paying my companion money to guide me. We used machetes to hack away vines, at last gaining entrance into a temple door. We watched where we stepped, trying our best to avoid the traps. As I carried the special mixture and a sharpened spear with me, my guide carried our pack and other supplies with him. Torches lit our way, and we still felt we were being followed. I stopped, calling out to the silence around me, hearing only my echo replying to my cry. We quickened our pace and finally found the door. I coated the tip of my spear with the brew, being careful not to touch the deadly concoction myself. The two of us forced the door open, and behold what our eyes saw. It was a ruby, small enough to easily fit inside of your pocket. There was no traps guarding it. However, we did face a large and scaly problem. A dragon. It woke up and stood, watching us. The mouth open, and corrosive acid dripped from his fangs, melting holes in the cobblestone floor. Those orange eyes locked upon us as my guide pulled out a heavy handgun and shot the thing into the face. The rounds did nothing but bounce off the scales and collapsed onto the ground. In seconds, the creature had my guide in his mouth, moving with speed much like a smaller lizard. Not what he expects from the monster standing before us. Those orange eyes locked with mine. And he dropped the man that was not moving anymore. His face was gone, corroded by the strong acid in the dragon's mouth. Several smaller serpents came to claim the body. Now is my turn. The dragon turned and stalked me as I made ready my spear. I'm a wealthy man that made his money off stocks and bonds, not a hunter or warrior, nor am I a young man. My age is somewhere in my mid-50s, so there's no way I'm going to fight this reptile before me. He lunged at me, and I barely jumped out of the way, feeling the rush of his massive tail go by me. He spun around quickly. As I was now terrified and lifted my spear, I wedged the end of the spear into a hole in the cobblestone, its angle pointing toward the beast. He lunged again. I held the spear firm as the dragon impaled himself upon it. He laughed as he fell, informing me the ruby is now mine. But I must pay the price. The creature fell dead as smaller serpents dragged the beast away. Not paying attention to what I had just heard, or thinking about any consequence, I reached for my prize. I lifted the gem and up into the torchlight, smiling, knowing I will never die. My mind wandered at what I can do with this knowledge and the wealth I've acquired. So I did not see the change immediately. I did feel weird and uneasy. I looked upon my hand and realized what price I have to pay to be immortal. My arms and hands became glossy as scales materialized before my eyes. My nails became deadly claws, and my eyes no longer needed the torchlight to see, as I now had the eyes of a predator and could see in perfect clearness throughout the dark temple. See, the price I paid, I now realize, was to cast aside my humanity. I remember back when the text I read told me the Guardian was immortal, and now I know why. The dragon had been an explorer like me, and he got his wish, just like me. Immortal, yes, but there was nothing saying I was going to be human anymore. And now I understood where the little serpents came from, for they were guides to the other explorers as well. I also realized why the dragon did not fight back any harder. How it seemed too easy for an immortal guardian to die. And now I know he wanted to die. He wanted this life to end and his curse be broken. But in order to do that, another fool would have to take his place. With this knowledge, I lay on the floor, waiting for another fool to come and take my place in a game of immortality.